Very good evening, folks. Tonight I'd like to spend a little bit of time just reminiscing a little bit. And I was watching a video earlier on last week, and it was one of Jim Qualls' videos. I forget which channel it was on, but it had a picture of an old worn out Bible, and there was a kid's song playing in the background. And when I reviewed that video, it reminded me of this Bible. Now, I don't know about you, but over time certain Bibles have become very, very attached to. This one particularly is especially meaningful to me because I believe God used it extensively to nurture me quite early on in my faith. And I purchased this Bible, I think, 1992, in around there, and I ceased to stop reading it in 2002. I just want to show you this old Bible. This is my old King Jimmy. As you can see, the label in front, everything is kind of worn out, cracked and torn on the bottom. And take a look at the back here, and I actually had to take duct tape. Had to take duct tape to patch this old girl up here. But the binding still stayed good on this thing. If you take a look at the binding, this old binding here has been holding out quite well. If you look, if you were to measure the diameter of that little round binding on the bottom there, it's probably about 1/4 inch wide, but all the pages have totally been held intact through all that time, and it's still held intact. But I'm not going to push the envelope with this thing. I want to keep it. Now, for what it's worth, I'm going to be buried with this old girl. Not that it means anything, because I'm going to be returned to dust anyway, but for sentimental purposes, it's going to be with me. And this old girl, I'm guessing I probably read this old girl, I'm going to say 75 times cover to cover. And the reason why it gets worn evenly is that what I recommend people do their reading, if they can commit to doing that, is, you know, put a marker in Exodus, and I put a marker in Exodus, I put one in the Psalms, one in the Proverbs, I put one in the book of Isaiah when I start my readings throughout the entire volume of the book. Then I'll put one in the book of Matthew, I'll put one in the book of Romans to Philemon, I'll put one in the book of Hebrews, and I'll put one in the book of Revelation. And I read more extensively in the Old Testament because obviously there's more pages there, and then I try to break it so I end up at the same time that I finish the New Testament, I finish the Old Testament. It's about double of one, a little bit more than double of one. When I finish the New Testament, I usually have to spend about another 8 to 10 days in the Old Testament, and then I'm complete. So it allows that binding to kind of wear down evenly. And I don't know, for what it's worth, I decided to throw this out there. I know probably a number of you believers out there have some Bibles that you've become very, very attached to. This one here is priceless to me. If anything were to happen to this book, you know, it would really not go well for me. But obviously, you know, if God chooses to get rid of it, I'm going to have to accept it. But this book God used extensively on my part in the early going to establish and to root me and ground me in the faith. And I'd just like to get maybe some of your sentiments on the Bibles maybe the Lord has used for you, and you know, what that means to you. Now, in addition to that, I also have another Bible. This Bible I purchased in January 9th of 2004. And I've been reading this Bible now for just the past 5 years, and you can start to see the binding on it it's getting pretty round. It's getting pretty round. It's not quite as round as the other one is, but it's getting quite round. And you know, if you handle your Bible well, as far as reading it and wearing in the binding, you're going to get 70, 80 reads out of that, comfortable reads out of it. This one here, I'm guessing, probably got to date in around 25 to 30 readings out of it. So I just thought I'd share that there with you. Maybe you can post some of your feelings about a Bible maybe you have endeared yourself to over the years. And you folks have yourself a very good evening. Thank you for stopping by.